mode.
Well, hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are calling in from. My name is Sam Coy, and this is the Caseworthy Webby for today. I'm actually joined by my colleagues, Thomas Horst, Senior Sales Executive, Rhett Richens, and Richard Rapolo as well, and Scott Odris, who is our president of Caseworthy. Tom is actually located in Texas. Rhett and Richard are both located in Salt Lake City, as well as Scott. As you see, Richard opted out of a photo, so we won't be able to say hi to him in the photo on this slide. But this is the Caseworthy team. So what we'd like to do, first of all, is thank you for your time, for taking the time out of your busy day really to spend with us. When you join the meeting, you're probably joined in listen-only mode. If you'd like to ask questions as we move along, feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand in the GoToMeeting toolbar. We have about an hour for this presentation, of which I'll take about 10-15 minutes to go through this PowerPoint, covering a brief overview of our company and acclimating you to the Caseworthy product. Thomas will then take over and show how to navigate the software and illustrate the housing and HUD parts of our application. And so perhaps today, if we have enough time to show you a few things, you'll get a chance to see the easy graphical user interface that we have, really clean, and you'll be able to kind of see that when you get into the software. Any customizable dashboards that we have, the tab-oriented work groups and role-based security access. Also, we have real-time room and bed setup and availability to really show you in a graphical layout of our graphical housing component. Also, bed reservations and check-ins, we have the capability of doing that. There's a lot to cover today, so you probably won't be able to see everything that we have to offer in the software, but as part of the agenda that we have set up, if we can get to everything, you'll notice that we have on here your ability to look at the emergency shelter and housing setup, some transitional permanent supportive housing setup as well. And this is where you can look at the corridors and the rooms, and this is the graphical housing piece that you'll be able to see how you can go in and set those up. The ability to actually hover over the prompts and things like that, really being able to inform clients. You're looking at real-time bed reservations and check-ins, all of the activities that you'll do in HMIS portion of your case management. And then also some integrated case management Thomas is going to cover. We're going to get into some of the case management tools that we have in the application. We have the suite of HMIS and COC services, including bed nights, and then the reporting piece. So all the folks that are on the call, if you're doing housing or if you're HMIS and you have to report to HUD, the compliance reports will cover as well. We do have some standard and operational reports. The compliance reports are those APR reports, the COCs, HUD, HMIS reporting, and then the Caseworthy Analytics, which allows you to create those reports. Our ad hoc reporting engine really allows for you to go in and dig a little deeper for some of the other outcomes that you're looking to be able to track and demonstrate. And then as we go through, if you have any questions again, be sure to raise your hand or ask in the toolbar, and we will absolutely get to that. Some additional Caseworthy HMIS features that we do have in the application. We may not be able to show you everything, but this will give you a good synopsis of what we have to offer. Those coordinated assessments that you may have to do, or a particular centralized intake, we have that. The VI SPDAT is a really big one. Also the SSVF grant reporting that you'll have to do. We are HUD and HIPAA compliant. Some of those compliance reports that I've talked about, you'll have it sitting here as a checkoff. And then also, the wait lists and the shelters with the COCs, you'll have the ability to kind of take a look at what wait lists are available. And then an automated eligibility engine for alerts by program and individual services is just some other features that we have to offer in the application. So one of the things that I would like to do first is just give you a little brief history of the Caseworthy company. Caseworthy was founded in 2008 by our CEO, Brian Bingle. He has over 3 decades of experience in the industry, and with his vision, really helped to create the state-of-the-art solution with the contemporary architecture that offers provide us a comprehensive, component-based, innovative enterprise solution. And this is true because you know, as part of your programming, you'll have the HMIS piece and component that you will have to be able to account for. But there's so much more of the application that you could use and across your entire organization. You will then see that the software is, you know, multidimensional. Really, it gives you the ability to improve tracking outcomes, demonstrating impact to funders, through easy reporting functionality, really help you streamline your services and really become high performing. So all of this in one centralized location of collecting data. Really, Brian's vision has created this groundbreaking technology in our industry, and our customers have been able to really benefit from this. So just to kind of give you an example of some other industries that we tap into, so not just part of the HMIS and sheltered housing component that we work with, but we also work with community action agencies, veteran services, just to name a few. To give you a closer idea, we've worked with whole counties, state and local governments, and funders as well. So for example, the state of Connecticut uses our software for their HMIS solution. So the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness has about 7 COCs and over 400 partner agencies across the state. Soldier On is another organization that works with us, and they're a customer with locations all over New England, including New York, based in Leeds, Massachusetts, and they're the recipient of the largest SSVF grant and provide supportive services for homeless veterans. And then we also work with faith-based organizations, and just to give you an example of that, we work with Catholic Charities Archdiocese of Boston, and they have about 29 locations and over 100 programs. So if you want to learn a little bit more of the work that we do with these organizations, you can feel free to check out those case studies on our website at CaseWorthy.com. All right, so what is CaseWorthy, right? So CaseWorthy is an outcomes-focused, organization-wide advanced case management software solution for nonprofits and foundations and that work in the health and human social services field. So really, this software really helps to simplify the data management and funder compliance process so that you as a provider can prove your evidence of social impact in the communities that you serve. And with CaseWorthy, you now have the mission-critical web-based technology to securely manage all of your programs and services, data into a single central database of record. Our CaseWorthy solution is highly configurable. It's off-the-shelf enterprise solution that is certainly web-based. Basically, wherever you have internet access, you can log in and enter data and access data. And then we also have the ability to work on tablets, smartphones, iPhones, etc. We also offer a web portal to increase your tracking flexibility beyond the clients that you serve every day. Some of those reports that we've talked about earlier, the VI SPDAT, the ROMA, the CSBG, the APR for COCs as part of our software maintenance agreement, we keep those up to date so that you guys don't have to worry about that. And so that's part of the package that we offer with any of our customers coming on. So I'd like to take a minute and talk about our technology platform. If you're not a techie, I apologize, but just bear with me for a second. It's important to understand that you're working with an application that is Microsoft-based. It's a Microsoft-based solution. Works with Microsoft Edge 10, Google Internet Explorer 9 and 10, as well as on tablets and iPads. And this provides what we consider the responsive web design. So you can have optimal viewing of any device, a single interface to address all devices. And the tablet also allows the flexibility to do your jobs wherever you want, wherever the case management activities take you. And we also are on a .NET framework with MS SQL platform. All right. So a couple of different differentiators here that our customers enjoy that other vendors really struggle to provide in a single solution. So with the exception of our web portal, because that's a little bit of a separate thing, we have many self-contained features and functionalities that are provided right within our software. So for example, you have the ability to do signatures, you have the ability to create and customize alerts, and you also have the ability to send out text messages and things like that. Now, some of those features and functionalities are considered to be add-on products of other vendors, and they'll charge you per year or whatever the rate is for that as an extra added cost. This is not in our particular software. That actually comes with the entire application. Also, it's important for us to empower our customers with the ability to complete any configuration internally. So this includes the ability to customize workflows and forms and reports. So that's where our ad hoc analytics reporting engine comes in, where you can use through a grab and drop functionality the ability to create those reports. And then our system also has the ability to integrate with other systems. So the question is really, in order for you to allow data to pass back and forth, we have a design that allows for that through our open API. The question is whether the other software system will allow for it. Some other perks and differentiators include geocoding and mapping functionality, scan card capabilities, and touchscreen technology. So as a premier solution, we're always launching new functionality for our customers, and we have recently released our new web portal to support employment activities, volunteer management, to streamline services outside of the work done exclusively with clients. And this also includes time tracking, mortgage assistance, credit counseling. So if you're an organization that does more work beyond the HMIS and HUD activities, you're doing some employment work, you're doing, other service deliveries, we have a software that can touch every area that you work in. All right. So some benefits, of course, our customers benefit from the toolkit that we provide, which allows for staff and supervisors the ability to work with the visual, to see progress tracking over time, right through our dashboards to demonstrate the impact through outcomes and goal attainment. So to be able to view the work that happens with the client and the work that staff is doing in a snapshot, we have a reporting dashboard and drill down capabilities, which is huge. So our solution helps staff stay aligned with work through sync calendars, configurable alerts, follow-ups, next steps to fit a process or workflow. As we continue on, one of the cool features about the CaseWorthy application is that the menu and the roles can change. So you can actually create a role. You can certainly adapt a particular view so that it works and concentrates intentionally on what case managers are going to be focusing on. So role configuration includes menus, dashboards, and forms. And the concept here is to only include menu items on a dashboard or on a desktop that's specific for users. Users are mapped to those roles. And once that happens, then you can lay out how organized your case management can be around that layout. All right. So the component framework also includes case notes. These are, some of our highlights here. We have over 40 plus. Really supports the ability to upload files, as I mentioned before, scan documents, images, photos, etc. These are just some of those particular components in our software that you can also take advantage of outside of the HMIS work that you do. All right, so our professional service offerings really ensure that the success of our customers are great. And this is a partnership that exists really to allow us to work with you to implement a finished polished product that go live. We want to ensure that all of our customers have the internal capacity to make changes and modify the solution through our training offerings. And really the training is where we can train you as a administrator, and then you can take that and train your staff. So we have a train-the-trainer model that really allows for you to be able to grow and scale as your organization grows and scales. So you never at any point are left alone to figure anything out. We offer that support to create complex reporting needs. We also offer support for workflow setups and custom form creation. And we assist in any integration or data conversions that is needed. In addition, our help desk support is in place to assist users as they move about the software. And at no time again are you ever left alone to figure it all out. Your success is our success. So I just want to thank everyone. This actually this concludes this part of the presentation. I want you to feel free to type any questions that you have in the box. We will answer them at the end. Now I'll hand it over to Thomas, who will facilitate the demo for us from here. And I just want to thank everyone for joining, and we really appreciate the time that you've given us today.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Sam. Before you log out there, just want to make sure that you can see my screen.
I can see your screen. You're good to go.
Great, great. Well, appreciate again the folks that were able to show up today. We have a pretty good turnout in audience. for this presentation. And just a quick recap, this is the majority of what we're going to spend our time in today is going to be covering the graphical bed management tool set that we have within the CaseWorthy solution. But we're also going to touch on a lot of other things within the application at a very high level. And again, there's only going to be so much we can show you in 45 minutes. So I do want to reiterate what Sam said is if you see anything today, you want a deeper dive on a specific functionality, whether it's the bed management part, a little bit more about the HUD reports that we're going to cover towards the end of the presentation, anything that you want to see more of today, when we do follow up with you, just let us know and we can set up a personalized demonstration for you along the topic lines that you want. So again, we have a lot of material to cover and a short time to do it, so I'm going to dive right in here. And what you're seeing here on this page is what we call our splash page or our login page. I have mine configured to be the last client that I was working with, and because our solution is HIPAA compliant, ours is set up to be logging out users every hour or so. So what it will do is as soon as I log in, it'll take me to the last, client that I was working with. So one of the other caveats I do want to mention before we dive fully in is everything that you're going to see today is based on a demonstration database. And what that means is we use this demonstration database to demo to thousands of clients a year all over the country and now soon to be all over the world. And so all the clients that you're going to see in here, it's based on fictitious data. And the other thing that we want to point out is because we're demoing to, as you saw on the slide, so many a wide variety of nonprofits in health and human services, it's just kind of the general nature of what we've set up. So just keep in mind, if you don't like the color scheme, you don't like exactly what the dashboard looks like, don't worry about it, because 99% of the scenarios you're going to be able to dream up or come up with, as I'm going to be able to show you as we go through, those are going to be configurable, whether it's a dashboard, whether it's forms, whether it's specific layouts. All those things are going to be configurable by nature. So we're going to start off with a little bit of basic desktop navigation. And as Sam mentioned, we are a tab graphical driven system. So there's three main tabs within the CaseWorthy environment that you'll be using a lot. Primarily, most of the end users are going to spend time in this case management tab here. Within the case management tab, and I also will mention I'm in a role called All Features, which is basically the kitchen sink for all the features and functionality within the CaseWorthy environment. And I'll switch roles, and we are a roles-based system, as Sam mentioned, for security purposes. So based on us coming on site with you, working out all the process workflows, all the users, all those types of things, you will define the different role levels for each one of your staff members. And based on the roles that you basically set up with us and tell us about, you'll be able to define exactly which staff members can see and what they cannot see. And we'll go through that a little bit more as we go through. So again, about 90% of your end users are going to be spending time in the case management tab. And the case management tab for this demonstration contains the case management sub-tab here, or sub-work group itself, client information. Basically, again, it's the kitchen sink, so it has everything. So you're able to get into the system and customize. Again, we do an entire tool set around customization, but I'm just going to show you briefly how you can edit these things as we go. So as you can see here, you have a little bit of the client information, and again, you'll define what this is as far as what you can see. We have a lot of hover over, which allows for more information, whether this is help or whether this is about specific client information or provider information. Just hovering over these different tabs will tell you a little bit more about the client that you have on screen here, which is usually in the top left. Over on the top right here, what we have is this is me, and again, I'm a system administrator level person for CaseWorthy, so I'm in the all features role. So if I click on the little drop down menu here, this goes into a little bit further definition around what a system administrator has rights to. And again, a lot of the configurations I'm going to show you how to do, obviously not everyone is going to have those permissions to do that. It's usually only going to be reserved for your system administrators and your executive management. But as I said before, we're in all features here, And what I want to go back and show you is here is the menuing here. Again, it has everything. Initially, it looks very busy, but what I want to show you real quick here is how easy it is to configure and change what will present to different users as they log into the system. So if I click on this drop down here, a role can be set up as a program, a role can be set up as a location, a role can be set up as a staff member. It's really up to you. And as Sam mentioned, when we come on site for that discovery meeting, you will tell us how you want the roles to be set up. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to click on employment. And what I want to show you that happened here is the menuing items that were here on the left are now very limited compared to my all features role that I was in before. As is the different dashboards, as we talked about, every single user can have a different dashboard interface that they see based on how you want it set up. So now that I'm in here, as you can see, the menu items that's available to me in an employment role are substantially limited. So I'm going to actually switch back into all features so I can show you most of the functionality that you all came here for today. But when I switch back to all features, as you can see, not only does the splash page or dashboard change back to what it was, but it puts me back in giving me all access to all features and all functionality within the system. So you're like, okay, how do you actually do that? How did you actually make that configuration, and how easy is that to do? And again, we're going to briefly touch on some of the tool sets and the app builders here in the system, but let me actually show you how that's done. So we're able to hear, I'm going to show you how we went from limiting this menu group set to what I showed you in the employment role. So I'm going to actually do that using our role app builder. So going into the role app builder, and again, we're not going to spend too much time here, but I just want to give you a brief understanding of what we're talking about here. So under case management, when I'm going in here, as you can see under case management, you have program enrollment, client demographics, program eligibility. You have program enrollment, client demographics, and program eligibility. So if I'm a system administrator level person within the system, I can go in and make changes right on the fly here in real time to how each one of the dashboards and forms present themselves. So if I wanted to actually edit this link, I wanted to change it or delete it, I can do that from here. If I wanted to add a new menu item, I can do that right from here. If I wanted to change how things look, for example, I spend a lot of time in family contacts. I actually want to move that to the top here, so that's the first thing that I see. So I can do all these things with a system administrator level role, and as you can see, you don't have to be a programmer. It's all drag and drop functionality, which is you're going to see is a very common theme as we're going through and show you the system. So if I hit apply changes, again, I just moved family and contacts up to the top here to keep it very easy. So when I do that, what will happen is when I go back into case management here in real time, it reconfigured how things are looking and how they present. So if I deleted a couple things, they would be taken away here. But I can do all that on the fly in real time without having to come back to us, the vendor, for us to make those changes for you. You get to basically, we teach you how to fish at the end of the day, and that's a big part of what we do and what our clients like is the training, the very in-depth training we give you throughout the process to teach you how to do these things. So that's basic desktop navigation here for how to change the different menu items where that's concerned. And again, that's under the case management tab where about 90% of your end users are going to be spending their time. But the other tabs that we're going to cover, the second one being the organization tab, not only is CaseWorthy a system where you can manage the client and participant actions, activities, and outcomes, but you can also manage all the different providers and supports that feed into your organization. So whether that's landlords, employers, foster care agencies, mentors, the system at its core is also a basic contact relationship management system as well, or a CRM system, so you can manage the activities not only for your clients and participants, but for all those providers and supports that are part of your community network. So that's housed here under the organization tab. The different resources, and again, we won't have time to go into all these, and we do entire separate webinars for these, but we do, if you're a COA accredited organization, for example, you do a council on accreditation, you're required to log all your incidents. So we have an entire incident management system within the CaseWorthy framework, referrals, with its donations, approval management, whether it's for for a service plan, whether it's for a service request, if you do any kind of gift cards or vouchering type of systems, all that we can tie an approval process to each one of those things. Again, volunteer management, we do entire volunteer management within the system as well, and we're in the process of finishing out our campaign and donor management as well. So there's so many things within the system that are tied into not only the housing piece that we're going to show you, but basically the 360 or the entire continuum of care for all the other services, whether you provide them in-house or you refer them out. The last thing I want to show you here on the 3 tabs, again, case management, organization, and administration, is how all these things came to be. And that's here under the administration tab under the setup. And again, I won't have time to go into everything here, but one of the things I do want to highlight is here's where you manage your programs and your accounts and workflows. Those are the 2 things that I'm going to show you today. So here's where you set up all your programs and all the programs that are associated. Just looking at the audience that's here today, most of you are going to have anywhere from probably 5 to 20 programs within your organization. So here's where, just clicking on this tool icon here, gear icon, here's where you map all your assessments within the system to the programs, all the different services that exist within your programs. When we come on site, you're going to tell us what the eligibility rules for each one of your services and programs are. So when we run, after you're doing an intake, for example, the system will automatically calculate what programs and services your clients are going to be eligible for based on the rules that we set up here. So you can also tie different funding sources and accounts to each one of these programs, so it can automatically debit against account balances and funder balances. The whole document management set, all the outcomes that you're working with within your programs are mapped to them right here. So everything that you want to do, again, for programs are under administrative, under setup, and then just clicking on the program itself, you can do all these things associated with it. So that's under programs. And then the other thing I just wanted to show you here, because it's very important, because 9 out of 10 of us are visual people. And one of the first things that we do try to establish when we come on site, the project manager comes on site with you and sits down with each one of your program managers and departments and front-end staff, is we try to develop what we call either a common intake or a centralized intake, so we're not missing or leaving out any programs. And the goal of having a comprehensive collaborative system like CaseWorthy is to tie all these things together so all the programs are able to communicate and share data. So within here, again, like I said, 9 out of 10 of us are visual. So what we do is when we come on site, we're going to visually map out with you all the different workflows and process steps involved with, in this case, would be intaking a client. And we'll develop this with you. And again, we're going to do this for all your programs and services. As we know, there's also attrition within your organization. So if somebody leaves, you always have a blueprint and roadmap to go back to on how your program was set up. So again, that's some basic navigation, how we set up things on the outside. So I'm going to go back to my case management tab here and get into now what most of us on the call and the webinar came to today, is to see the graphical housing piece. And I'm actually going to do that showing you another very cool tool we borrowed obviously from web-based technology here, is using a pin pages, or what the industry will call either a favorites or bookmark page. And as I said, for me, the goal is to reduce the amount of clicks and streamline the processes so I can get to where the work processes and workflows are as quickly as possible. So what you'll see, a lot of the things that are menued up on this side under case management, I've actually, just because I know I spend a lot of time in these areas, I've actually transferred over and menued them up on this side. So one of the things that I'm going to show you as we dive into here is I'm going to go into directly starting to get into the housing piece. And there's 2 housing pieces, and I know this will differentiate a little bit from what Sam showed you on the slideshow, but I'm going to start out with transitional and permanent supportive housing, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of the setup on the emergency style or gymnasium style or barrack style housing as we go through. So the first thing I want to do is show you how to basically set up those things in the system so you can actually mimic the exact layout of what you're working with the housing that you work with. And this can be done also with multiple locations, multiple floors, depending on what you're doing. So what I'm going to do here is everything is on these gear icons indicates action and motion. So what I'm going to show you here is I'm actually just going to go into one of the resources, as we call them, or housing units, and actually show you how these things are set up. So within the system here, this is, and we borrowed this technology from the hospitality and hotel industry as far as being able to do check-ins, reservations, manage inventories, inventories, and being able to very specifically define out how this housing unit is set up. So we do that here. Like I said, if I wanted to add a new corridor, I can do that here, whether it's vertical or horizontal. Let's say you add on a new wing of the building if you want. If you wanted to add, you in the new building unit, we have basically set up a 3-bedroom unit. So all these things you can do here right on the fly, right in the system in real time. So it'll mimic exactly what you are managing, your housing folks are managing every day. So not only can you, once you create it, but you can dive deeper into it and actually go down into this specific room and define out all the factors as far as eligibility, availability, the actual capacity of the room, if there's a specific target population that's only available for this room. You can get very granular, probably more than what most of you all are going to do, but you have all these capabilities. As Sam said, this comes as standard baseline features within the system. You don't have to pay anything extra for what you're seeing here today. It comes part of your baseline system. You can even, as I said, take it as granular as you want. If you're allowing males, if you're allowing children, the age of those children, you can get very specific down to the T, if you will, with who is available for that room. If this is a handicap accessible room, you would simply mark that in the setup section here. And again, this is probably more than most of you all are using, but just know that all this functionality is here from day one. If you don't need it, we talked about a lot of everything being customizable within the system, including forms. So you can go into the system and actually configure the form here exactly how you want it. So anything that you're wanting to do or change, again, don't get too hung up on what you're seeing here. It's just a demonstration, but you'll be able to come in and configure it, the room for exactly all the specifics that you're wanting to use. So, and again, we're only covering the surface on this, so if you want to see a lot more of this, we can set up a private demonstration for your organization to do that. So that's the room setup side as we go through there. And then we also talked about being able to manage inventory for those rooms. So if you're able to click on, actually let me just show you real quick while we're here, you don't have to get out of the application to actually jump back and forth with different types of properties that you're managing or housing that you're managing. So you can do that all here within the same screen without having to get out of the application itself. So you're able to do that in real time here. And like I said, not only can you edit the properties of the room, but you can actually measure the room inventory or capture the room inventory for the different, whether it's furniture, whether it's, different type of lamps, anything that you're wanting to do. And it looks like somebody might be working on this real quick, but you can actually manage the inventory for that room right in there. And actually, we'll get into that a little bit later. So again, all the different resources, and again, you're not going to probably have all this, but you can manage hundreds of properties here if that's the way you're going to be set up. But you can get in here and usually manage. Let me see if it reset here. Yeah, it actually did. So if I wanted to go and add, let's just say, this is a new room. I wanted to add, let's say we just purchased a refrigerator for the actual unit. You can actually do that here. If you had it UPC code or item code, I'm just going to call it a white, and I apologize for my typing in advance. GE mini fridge, whatever you wanted to type about it, you can do that here. So you can talk if it's a new condition, excellent condition. I'm just going to say it's good. And location, let's just say it's in the kitchen area for that particular room. So again, anything that you're seeing there, you're going to be able to define out as you go into the system. You can add as many inventory items as you want to that room. So part of our core system also is we have an inventory management system. Again, we won't be able to get into that today, but just know that is part of the solution, not only for housing, but for other programs and services that you may offer. So again, you can manage now room inventories for those as well. So that is for, again, on the permanent supportive housing, that's kind of how you can manage that style. But we know that just looking at the audience list here, there are some organizations that do emergency style housing or barracks housing, gymnasium style housing, depending on what you want to call it. So we actually have that housed here in our housing emergency section. And I'm going to show you here how that looks and just kind of how easy that is to be able to manage inventories, locations, all those kinds of things as we're going through. So just like we had a room designer for permanent supportive, we have a room designer also for emergency style housing here. So let me get this expanded here so most folks can see it. And within the framework here, just like we can color code, and you're going to really see this when we do reservations and check-ins, but we can create legends, and these legends will define using graphically in nature where a coordinated assessment bed is located, in this case an electrical outlet, or if it's handicap accessible. And just like all the different rooms within permanent supportive and transitional housing, within emergency style housing, you can define which beds, which mat, which locations down very specifically and granularly are for that particular unit or bed. So here you can mark it as a coordinated assessment bed, and for those on the call, a coordinated assessment is a Housing First HUD initiative that shares beds throughout a community, usually for overflow situations, especially around seasonal times of year. Again, and here's where you define for that bed if it's electrical or handicap access. You can, again, get into specific target populations if it's an actual HMIS bed. And again, if this is not what you're looking for and exactly what you're doing, we're able to go in here just like every other form, and we're able to configure that form to what you want. And that's what the project manager will do when they come on site with you to do the design and create what we call a statement of work, which is all the work we're going to do for you based on your input and feedback. So again, this is more the emergency permanent supportive style housing. If I wanted to add a mat, cot, bunk bed, it's just like everything else we're showing in the system, it's drag and drop. So you can see, especially in an emergency situation like down here in Texas and with Hurricane Katrina, this software would have been great when you're converting the Coliseum or the, I think in Houston, they converted the Reliance Center at the time into an actual shelter. And here's how, having these things in place, it'd be very easy to track and manage what's going on in that emergency facility. So that's the setup side. So we showed you the setup side for transitional and permanent supportive style housing, as well as emergency. And what I want to show you now is how to make reservations and how to check folks into these facilities that you created on the front end. So to do that, again, I can go into it through the menuing system, but I've actually queued it up here under my favorites and pin pages, and I do that under my housing and check-in for reservations. So by clicking on that, it'll quickly take me to the general area that I'm wanting to go. Keep it open here because we also do classrooms can be set up the same way with desk, just substituting what a desk is for a bed, and you can do that entire functionality and setup from here as well. So if you offer any kind of classrooms, environments, you can do that, or you host any training sessions that you do either at your facility or other places, you can set that up here as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off again with the transitional and permanent supportive housing, because that's what we've been talking about. So if I go into here, just like before, we were in the setup side or the designer side, I'm actually going to take you to the check-in side here. So what you're seeing on the front end, the design side, this is the back end, back end side of it here. I'm just going to expand this out a little bit so you can see more of how we set it up. So what's really cool about this, just like we've shown you throughout, is the hover over capabilities. So you can quickly see who's reserved, if they're checked in or not, the capacity of the room. And again, if you don't like these colors, don't worry about it. You can have them configured and use colors that work best for your agency. But we just wanted to show you here how you can get very specific on what you're doing. And not only can you do that directly over the housing here, but you can also do that here with our integrated menu. So here you can actually hover on a name and see where they are in your facility and what they're doing. And like I said, you can do check-ins directly from here by just clicking on these buttons. So you can do, if you had 6 or 7 people here, you can do rapid check-in as well. But once you click on it from here, it changes the color coding in real time for what those availability or the status is at that time. So as you can see, it's very interactive, very visual. Actually, I like doing this presentation because I don't have to explain a whole lot. You get to see it with your own eyes. So also, I just showed you check-ins. We can do reservations directly from here as well, just by clicking on the unit, seeing what's available or not, and clicking on reserve. And you can do a reservation directly from this screen as well. So you do a client search, start date, end date, anything that you wanted to do with the reservation, you can do directly from the screen. So again, not a whole lot to explain here. You've seen it with your own eyes on exactly what you can do, but really taking it to a different level to where, again, 9 out of 10 of us are visual in nature, so it just really makes the intake process, reservation process, check-in process much more easy using a graphical format. So that is for, again, on the transitional or permanent supportive style housing. To do that, let me actually show you this now with an emergency style or barrack style check-in as well. And here's where you can really see if you're doing some volume. You can see where it can be done very quickly, not having to go in and out every time to do whether it's a reservation or check-in. So I'm going to go into the check-in manager here. And what I got to show you here, this is really cool because how we set up the room is dependent on these tabs here. And because we have, again, the hover over help, you can see what the core offering of beds that you offer. You can show or hide what the seasonal beds are. We have Thanksgiving and, Christmas coming up. So usually we add some capacity to a lot of our emergency shelters. So you can see those beds just by toggling here on the seasonal tab to show it or not show it. Same thing with overflow. You have different busier times of the year. You have a cold night that comes a little early that's going to dip into freezing that you need to have some overflow beds set up for. You can show them or not show them based on the toggle here. And you can also, if you're part of your community, again, this is a very important thing to mention here because just because other shelters are not set up either on your COC or HMIS, you're able to, because we do collaborative licensing, if you wanted to grant a user to one of the other shelters in your community, you can do that so they can participate into, if their shelter overflows or vice versa, you're able to go in and allocate coordinated assessment beds, rooms, mats, whatever it is that you're offering, so the other folks in the community can access and look into your database, if you will, to see what's available and what's not available. And that's part of that HUD initiative, Housing First HUD initiative. So you can get visual on all that going forward. And just like we said before, you don't have to do this one by one. You can do multiple check-ins, multiple reservations right from here. So I want to see Paul Parker. They're sitting in front of me in line. See their credentials. I see whatever requirements that we have, and I can go ahead and check all of them in from here. The cool thing about this, if you want it to be just specifically on check-ins, you can toggle between these and it'll show you all the folks that are actually checked in. And one of the actual things I want to show you here is under our color coding for absent. This is kind of an action item here. So if you had any beds that you're past curfew, you're past the check-in times for those, you can clearly see on the map who's absent. And if you have a wait list or you're full or you have reservations that are not or still outstanding, you can if they don't show up on time and that's your policy, you can reassign the room, unreserve the room, and take that absent person and move them out of the queue and have other folks in your community check into these beds. Another cool thing from here that you can see is if there's a specific bed that was out of commission, and I forgot to show you this on the setup side, but if it's under construction, it's being repaired, it has water damage or any kind of damage, you can actually take them out of your inventory on the front side. And again, we can do that in a full presentation for you to show you how to do that. But it can say the availability, you can define the availability of the bed or non-availability of the bed on the setup side. So many things that you can do from a graphical perspective with this tool. And again, this is just one of the tools that we have in the comprehensive, what we call advanced case management feature set within the system. So that is the graphical part of what I wanted to show you today. And the thing about it is, obviously the services that you offer or the community service that you offer goes much further beyond that. So one of the things I wanted to show you today are some of the other features that you're going to be using in addition to the graphical management or bed management piece that we're talking about. And again, I could go to it from this side under case management as everything's menued up on this side, but I just like to show it here because this is realistic in how you're going to work every day. Where am I spending the most time? So one of the things I wanted to show you that you're going to be doing every day doing this is progress in case notes. And doing that in a very, daily basis across different interactions that you're having with them. You can, this is just like, and I'm going to show you this in the reporting here at the end, but you're able to sort case notes based on, what you're looking at, what you want to sort it by if you don't want to see them all, or you can have them all here show you. But you can manage all your case notes here very easily and even be able to take this information out to Excel, because everything that you're seeing, as Sam said, we're built on a Microsoft platform. So this is very similar to an Excel spreadsheet and what's presenting. So if I wanted to take this quickly out to Excel, any type of list that is generated within the system, I can do that very quickly here by just taking the information directly out to Excel. So now I can further slice and dice the information based on what I want. So that kind of jumped the shark here and showed you a little bit of the reporting up front. But the other things that you can do is you can also print or preview the case notes as you see them. So you can do that with all of them. You can do them with select case notes. And we're not going to have time to dive into it right now, but even electronic signatures that are captured within the system, whether you captured it from you're out mobile in the field and you captured it on your iPad or your Microsoft Surface tablet or even your smartphone, we capture electronic signatures everywhere within the system. This is just what we call a control feature that we can drop on any form, approval process, anywhere in the system, ISPs. We can put this anywhere in the system that you want as far as electronic signatures. And again, as Sam said, we don't charge extra for, oh, you want electronic signatures? Well, that's going to be another $8,000. We don't do that here at CaseWorthy. It's just part of our solution that we created, and it's available to everyone within the CaseWorthy family, if you will. So that's just one part of the case notes. The other thing that I wanted to show you here is we do a full-blown document management system within there. So whether it's a PDF document, it's a utility bill that you wanted to see, as far as viewing the image, annotating the image, full-blown document management. So whether it's an actual document itself, if you have pictures in the system, in this case it would just be a driver's license, that you're seeing, anything that you wanted to capture in the system could be either direct scan. If you hooked a scanner up, you're doing centralized intake where you're doing a lot of volume. We also do scan cards for a lot of repeat clients and repeat high volume services like meals and daily check-ins and things like that. So all that, again, is part of the system that we're doing. So document management was something I wanted to show you real quick before we dive into the reporting. One of our largest clients and what is currently the largest transformational campus in the world, Haven for Hope, they do some very in-depth services. And part of those services are they actually administer medications, they track allergies, all those things that are very important that you want to be able to reference very quickly. Like this information can be put on their dashboard if you want. And actually, I forgot to even get to that section. But when we talk about dashboards again, if there was a high this person is allergic to Vicodin or whatever it may be, you can actually have that information park on their dashboard here. And what I want to show you real quickly is as I said, all these dashboards are configurable. So just like we call this our configuration raindrop here. So under a dashboard builder, all the information you're seeing here is just queried data from data that already exists within the system. So any dashboard that you see, you can configure. I want this to appear at the bottom. I want the layout to be a little bit different. I want to build a different query within the system. Like I said, I want to display that allergy information right on their splash page. You can do that very easily. And actually, what we do is when we come on site, you tell us what your dashboard you want it to look like, and we'll set it up that way. But even after we go live with you, I can tell you with 100% accuracy, you're going to want to make changes to the system, and you can do that because we give you the tools and show you how to use these tools here. So you can see it's drag and drop on how to reconfigure things after you go live. And that's kind of the most important thing is undoubtedly you're going to make changes to the system, and because our system is drag and drop and non-programmer focused, you can do those things in real time with training from us. Again, our goal is to teach you how to fish. So that's on the dashboard. And again, we won't have time to get all to it here. But the last thing I wanted to show you before we dive into reporting is some of the referral management. Most organizations on this webinar call, you will not be able to handle every single service. You won't offer it, but there'll be other community members that will. So whether it's referrals to providers, whether it's internal referrals within programs, or you want to track the referrals that are actually coming in, in a CRM type of fashion to be able to produce reports. We offer that whole management system here. We won't have time to get to it today, but we do an entire volunteer management module as well. Our system is also a performance management based system. So everything you're seeing here on this side is related to the actual client, and then the My CaseWorthy actually refers to what the case manager's daily workload is. And I actually have this pinned, if I wanted to get here real quick, I actually have this pinned here at the top for me. But within the My CaseWorthy tab is where the case manager or the case manager's manager, if you will, manages all their daily activities. And again, just like I showed you with everything else, the dashboard is configurable. So if you don't like what's menued up here, you want to change it, locations, whatever, you will determine exactly what your My CaseWorthy dashboard will look like. And again, we talked about managing all the programs, activities, data's outcomes that are associated with the client, but the My CaseWorthy tab here, it can be configured to manage performance management for your staff as well. And what I mean by that is, why is Susie takes 2 hours to do the intake and everyone else is taking 1 hour. So by doing time controls, you're able to manage, how we're performing, where we need to focus training on, where we need to improve upon, and I'll get to that in reporting as well. But wanted to show you that just here in a one-click format. Let's say you're doing a 211 center or a call or walk-in center or lobby management, front desk management. Within one click, you're able to rapidly enter a client into the system. So what I wanted to show you here is what I was just talking about for performance management. We've made this visual, but you can have this clock appear behind the scenes that either leadership or management would be the only ones that are able to see that, so they can not have you under the spotlight, if you will, that you're needing to be cognizant of your time, but you want to deliver quality. But you can put this time control on anything in the system, whether it's an intake, whether it's a assessment, wherever in the system that you want. It can either appear so people can see or behind the scenes. And as I said, if you need to get somebody in the system very quickly, put them kind of in a holding tank or holding program until a case manager, there will be an automatic email or text alert once you hit save here that sends off to the either management team or case manager that will let them know a new client is in the system and kind of where to go from there. So again, there's just so much we can cover here in 45 minutes. So if we've touched on anything that you liked or that you saw today that you want to find out more about, let me know and we go through it. So I did want to save enough time for reporting here. And actually, before I dive into the reporting, this is just our demonstration splash page. Again, this is just a splash page for the administration here. But what we want to show here is all our reports, as I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, are going to be interactive. So with the hover over capability, you're able to, you can take away items on this side if you don't want to see them, or more importantly, you can drill down directly here into what you're seeing here. And actually, that's a little small. I'll need to reconfigure that. But each one of these sub drill down menus, you're able to get into kind of as we move forward. So if we're wanting to drill deeper down on what the information and data that makes up these statistics, we can do that very easily from here. So just like everything else we showed you in the system, once you drill down into the report, you can actually take that report out to different formats, in this case Excel. And just like we said, it's in a Microsoft-based system, so just like in Excel, by clicking on the tab headers here, you're able to reshuffle the deck right on screen to be able to sort the data as needed. And this is available, again, across all of our reports moving forward. So just wanted to show you the drill down capability there. And then now that we're kind of in the reports, there are 3 sections and areas I'm going to show you real quick. Our operational reports, compliance reports, and we're going to finish off with our ad hoc or custom reporting tool, or CaseWorthy analytics. But just real quickly going through the operational reports, these are what we call our baseline reports or list reports, baked in reports that come standard with your CaseWorthy system. And I won't spend too much time in this section because I want to show you some of the HUD compliance reports. But key performance indicators, clients and programs, it's all basic reports that your day-to-day reports that your management's going to look at on a day-to-day basis. So one of the things I wanted to show you here, though, you're able to, our whole philosophy is to have you work smarter, not harder. So in this case, you can actually save a lot of these reports to generate and run automatically. And I'm just going to really quickly touch on this section here to show you how to do it. These are my saved reports that I have, but I just want to actually schedule a new one just to kind of show you the process. So here's where you would be able to name out what the report is. You can assign that report to be delivered to various teams within your organization. And again, we'll set up those teams with you when we come on site. We're very big on templates, and we didn't even get to touch on this, but just like in any email, we apply the template across case notes, across email templates, anything to where you want information to automatically populate in the system. That's a very important part of our system because it reduces time and data entry errors. So both of those working together, you can have it deliver in a certain format, PDF if you don't want anybody to be able to alter that, how many that you want to keep, the frequency, you can have it run every hour if you want. I would highly suggest not doing that, but you can have it run quarterly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever it is that you want as far as the frequency. And my favorite part of this section is I usually make my reports run at about 5 in the morning, so when the executives get it, they'll say, wow, that Thomas, he's really all over it at 5 o'clock in the morning, and them not knowing that it runs automatically for them and delivers to their mailboxes at the frequency that you set here. So these are the parameters that you would set up. The disable function is for, let's say you're closed for the last 2 weeks in December for Christmas, you would be able to disable or enable that report depending on how you're set up. So again, working smarter, not harder, having these reports run automatically. So the 2 things I wanted to show you, the 2 reports under compliance that I wanted to show you here before we break, probably the ones that we hear in the industry that people that come over to us from other vendors, they have the hardest time running the annual progress report or the ESG caper. So I'm actually going to click on this here and just show you a lot of you that have run these reports. In the essence of time, I've already set one up here. So I'm just going to run this report so not only can you could see how fast that the report will actually generate, but you're going to see a lot of familiar information from the reports that you're running today. So within seconds, as you saw here, this is a 13-page, very in-depth HUD report. And I say that kind of jokingly because what HUD report isn't long and in-depth, but we've already created these for you. So we already have the compliancy set up with HUD as a HUD-approved vendor to be able to run these reports exactly how HUD wants them to be run in the format that it wants to be seen or they want to see it in as well. So you can actually scan through this report page by page. I'm actually kind of an old school guy here, and just like everything else with our reports, you can extract these reports in different formats. I just personally like to do it in Microsoft Word so I can just scroll through the report very easily and see all the information at one time. So this is literally how easy it is to produce this report in a different format that you can either, for a meeting, whatever you're doing, for me, it's just easier to read this way, and this is what I like. But as you can see here, not only did the report run within seconds, but it's in the exact format that HUD is requiring. So that is actually the APR report, and we also do that with the ESG CAPER report, which is another, again, long report, with the exception of not taking you through all the data elements here. I'm just going to run this report again so you can see how fast it can go. So I don't know what you guys use now to run these reports, but if you run a system like I used to work for an organization that did Crystal, and this report would sometimes literally take about 3 hours to run. And as you can see here, it puts together information within seconds. And even though it's a fictitious database, it's still filled with a lot of clients that we're working with. And again, if you don't like this format, you're like me, you want to see it in Word, it's very easily to take this information out into multiple formats. So, we can spend a lot more time with you one-on-one showing these reports, how we've mapped everything to set these things up. And I know we're right at about time here, but if those of us who could stick on just a few minutes longer, I want to help you kind of tie all this together in showing you our ad hoc reporting tool. And the best way to do that, I think, is to actually introduce a real-world scenario. And folks like myself who have worked in the nonprofit sector, we've received these requests very, very frequently as we're going through. So the scenario I'm going to walk you through here in a couple minutes here is you receive the following email request from your executive director or your CEO. And it says, for an upcoming grant, I need to know the sum and count of services provided to women from age 18 to 50 who have received services through the following programs: Head Start, English for Employment, and Safe Haven. And to really make it difficult for you, once you get all that information together, I want to be able to view the information by service type. And if you're like me, when you got that request and you didn't have CaseWorthy, your palms got sweaty, you knew you were about to put in 12-hour days trying to gather up all this information from 50 different desktops, and it's going to be busy for the next week for you to get this. But I'm actually going to show you, even with me narrating, how you can put this information together using our drag and drop reporting tool in less than 2 minutes. So there's our scenario. I'm actually going to close out one of our reports there, and I'm going to go back into the system. And because I run this report very frequently, I actually have it here queued up in my pinned pages or favorites. So I'm going to know this is services related according to what our executive director asked for, and I'm going to go right into our analytics tool. And this is our ad hoc custom reporting tool that's drag and drop in nature. So all the pivot tables, all the programming has been done on the back end, so all you do is drag and drop your data elements. And here's how easy it is. So under services, we need to know the count and the sum of services. We need to know that this information has to eventually involve 3 programs. So I'm going to drop this into my column filter here. I know at the very end I'm going to have to sort this information or view this information by service type. And I know I'm only going to be dealing with some very specific age ranges and general demographic information. And because I know it's an age group, I'm going to show you one of the coolest parts of this tool is to drag it into a sortable bucket. And that's the bucket here at the top. And then I know under general demographics, I don't want all genders. I only want the female or women as part of my data set here. So again, just with me narrating here, we have all the data elements. We have sum and count. We have women here in our sortable filter. Also have age in here in our sortable filter. Here's our 3 programs that we're working with, and our information needs to be by service type and program name. So we have all our data elements that we're going to be needing. And when I click OK, I want you to see how fast this is. And for most of you, again, what I want you to pay attention is this side as I scroll down. We've got over 130 different programs that this report just queued against. And again, for most of us on the call, there's only going to be about 5 to 20 based on the audience list that I saw. But that information within a second there, we're able to pull over 130 program information data sets to produce this report, to the tune of a total count and sum of services of about a little under 34,000 and about 1.6 as far as total service amount. But here we know we're not going to be wanting all 140 programs. We're going to only be wanting 3 specific programs. And according to our executive director, it's Head Start, English for Employment, and Safe Haven. So when I click OK, now we just start to take this information a lot more granular. As you can see, the sum and count of services was reduced quite a bit, but we want to be very specific to what the grant is asking for. Now we're going to do that with age group. And don't get, again, caught up too much here. This could be 1 to 9, 10 to 19, whatever you want. But for the sake of this demonstration, we know that it's an age range between 18 and 50. We can have each age listed out if you want. It's really up to you at the end of the day. But when I start clicking OK, I'm just starting to take this information a lot more granular down to the exact data set that our executive director asked for. And again, here we don't want all genders, we only want females. And as you can see here, we've already upgraded our system to include the new national and federal standards for gender. So when I click OK here, again, even with me narrating, we now have the exact data set in a spreadsheet grid format that our executive director asked us for. But here's where our reporting tool goes way above and beyond. So now, again, 9 out of 10 of us are visual. I want to see this information in a graphical or visual way. My favorite personally is a pie chart. So now I'm able to see this, and just like I showed you before, all of our charts that we create for you are interactive. So you can get very specific. I want to flip back and forth to the sum part of the services, not the count. You can do that all from here. So as you're seeing here now, if you're the one who helps build out that annual report, I need to build a trifold for my program and show outcomes. Sure would like some visuals to put into that. I'm managing to performance. I have a board meeting that I'm getting ready for. I would like some statistical data to put into my presentation. All these things that you're seeing now can be graphical. And if you're a management or an executive level folks, you can now use visual data to start to manage to performance. Where are we spending the most money? Where are we spending the most time? Where do we, if anyone on this call is very outcomes focused, I worked a lot with that in my program agency, not all your outcomes are going to be trending like they're supposed to. So if you're able to pull these reports and not wait 1 year before you make changes, you can track outcomes positive or negative as far as the trajectory that you're looking for what you're doing, so you don't have to wait entire chunks of time to start making those corrections in real time. So again, I know I covered that pretty quickly, but I wanted to be able to show you that visual tool as we're going through as well. So thank you for those who did stick on with us a little bit longer. And I will turn it over to Sam, Richard in the group to see if there's any questions that came up during the presentation. And if anyone would like to ask their question live, I know Sam and Richard are able to, and Red are able to take it off mute so they can talk. So guys, any questions that we can follow up on?
Yeah, hey Thomas. No, there's been no questions asked thus far. So we can certainly hang on here for a few seconds and see if anybody wants to raise their hand or ask one. Sam and Thomas, thank you so much. Nice job. It doesn't look like we have any questions, so we just wanted to thank everyone for attending today. We'll be following up with you, as so often happens a lot of the time. As soon as the presentation's over, you'll think of a question. So we'll follow up with you in the next couple of days. And if you like what you saw, we'll be happy to schedule a presentation for your specific organization. So again, thank you so much. And well, it looks like we do have a question.
Yes, we do have a question here. It's Mr. Tyler. And I think his question is, can this system help track payment plans for clients? And the answer to that is it certainly can. An example that we use, one of our larger clients, Harris County, down in Houston, Texas, which is the second largest county in the United States, we actually can cut checks even from our system within here. So we can set up a demonstration with you, Tyler, to actually show you that functionality amongst other several things that financials that we can track for you in the system. So we will follow up with you on that. Hopefully that was able to answer your question. And Richard, I don't see any other questions that popped up, but Tyler will make sure that we follow up with you on that request to show you a little bit deeper dive on how we can do that for you. All right.
Okay. Terrific. I think we're good, Thomas.
All right. Well, thanks everyone again for participating and attending, and we'll talk to you very soon. Have a great week.